What's up, my peoples? So this is going to be a different video than my normal videos. I've been doing a lot of covers, playing my guitar, but I've run into a situation at my camp. People who have watched me for a while know that I'm homeless and I live in a structure that I built in the woods, and it's on a city property that is, out of the way, and it's the best spot that I could find, and I've been here alone for the most part for a year, and I've been camping on this land on and off for 2 years, but for a solid year, this you know, for a year solid, and then before that, another year I was camping on and off because I was traveling between Salem, Oregon, and here, which is in Newport. So I'm gonna do my best to try to make my thoughts concise and explain what's happening here at my spot and in the city of Newport and really in the whole country. Because, I mean, I only know what my experience here, where I'm at, but I've had experience being homeless in New Jersey also. And these problems that I want to talk about seem to be following me where I go. So, uh, I might have a couple cuts in here because I want to try to. I'm gonna just ramble and then I'm gonna try to cut it and get my point across. So here we go. So I've been living in Newport, Oregon, and between Salem and Newport, and I left Salem because things were getting bad with the situation for homeless people, and the resources are there, but the resources that are prescribed are just not really helping people. What I've found is that the resources that are available are only there to basically get you down on paper so that they can acquire and accrue more tax dollars and more help wherever the help is coming from, whether it's private donations or tax dollars or state help or federal help. All that money that gets sent and donated and taxpayer money and private money eventually gets funneled into these. Usually it's church organizations, but it's not always a church organization. Sometimes it's just state run. Sometimes it's private, but they don't really do anything. They just kind of get you in the door and get your information on paper so that they can send that information to whoever's paying them the money they're getting, and that way they could count you down as a number. And then they don't really provide anything after that. Once you get that in there, they don't do much else. Like I mean, they will if you, because I want to try to be fair to every side of this issue, because they are trying to help people, but they're not understanding the reality of your average homeless and especially a drug addict. And that's where I'm coming from. I luckily was able to get clean from heroin. I still don't want to do the normal thing anymore. Like I'm not interested in trading 90% of my time and effort and my money making ability into paying some landlord or paying some mortgage holder. And I don't need that life. Like, if I had children, if I'm a single male, and I'm about to be 40 this December, but family never happened for me, and I went the wrong path for a while on heroin, and I've repented of that, whatever you want to call it. I've changed my ways, but I still don't want to go back to the things that made me start doing drugs in the first place, which was realizing that the system is totally screwed, and it's just not fair, even to the person that has a family, and they're like, the average man or woman, the average person, excuse me, is busting their butts out there just to pay somebody else for the right to live in a spot. And not only is it just the right to live, it's like you're paying for this housing situation that's untenable. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for your personal growth. It's not good for your personal development in any way, financially, spiritually, economically. I mean, to live in these little sheetrock boxes that they have set up for us, is not, to me personally, it's not the answer. Like, that's not how we're going to grow as a human species. But we're kind of stuck in that little system where it's like, well, that's what you got to do. You got to, you got to work and you got to pay for your little cardboard box to live in. And how dare you try to live differently because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I feel that what is happening is that a line is being drawn and they're saying, they, whoever, like, you can't choose to live alternatively. It's just not it's not an option anymore. And there's one video, I'll try to like maybe link it in the comments. I can't remember exactly right now, but a friend sent me a video of a person who is based in California who is running one of these organizations that help the homeless. And the interview was very concerning because she's stating that, oh, nobody should have the choice to be homeless. Like, if you choose to be homeless, you should be sent to a psychiatric evaluation and be forced to be in either one of these camps that are popping up. Like, there's, in my experience in Salem, I made a video about it before, almost a year ago now. But they're starting to build these little tiny houses, pods. But the problem with that is that it's not a solution for affordable housing for the normal average person, especially for someone who is still actively addicted to drugs. There's no way they can keep the rules, and even if you can keep the rules, it's a temporary dwelling. They're relying on passing the person off who goes into the system and goes into one of these houses. They're relying on them getting passed off to go to like HUD housing or Section 8, whatever you want to call it, depending on your state. And there's honestly, there's no room for anybody else in that system with HUD housing or Section 8. Like, I know many people that have a voucher to get housing, but now, especially because of inflation, what's happening recently with the economy and all that, you can't even use that voucher because the vouchers, it doesn't account for enough money to actually pay what renters are asking for nowadays. So even if you get one of those vouchers, which is highly unlikely, especially if you're an addict, because you can't keep the rules, you're stuck in the cycle of addiction and needing to, every resource you get as an addict has to go towards your addiction. That's just how it is. So there's no help for that, and not that I have any solution to that. I don't know what to do about that. It's just, it is what it is. But what I'm trying to really say is that we have to skip over that because we have to realize that people need affordable housing, especially, when you're in that state of addiction or homelessness. Like, obviously, you can't get a job if you can't shower every day. I mean, you can. Some people don't stink. I personally, I stink. And if I were to try to get a job, I would need to have a shower first every day. And showers are not offered every day for homeless people. The places, the facilities that offer showers, it's not every day, and they're not convenient. And the fact of the matter is, when you go there to shower, you have to deal with other homeless people. And if you're trying to be on the up and up and stay off drugs, and especially if you know the people, you can't, when you're trying to get clean, you can't be around those people because it's going to mess you up. So, and not only that, if you are clean and you're trying to take a different path, like, you just don't want to be around the group of people that are hanging around those types of places where they offer showers. And so that's kind of where I'm at personally. I'm like, I feel like I'm stuck between worlds where it's like, I'm not trying to be a normal, good citizen. And I'm definitely not trying to be, just a street addict either. And, I just don't see why something has to be done about everybody needs a place to be. Everybody needs a place to be, regardless of your condition, regardless if you're an addict. Like, of course, you're not going to get off your feet or get back on your feet if you're always being kicked around by the state, by local governments, whatever it is. If you're ODOT, the Department of Transportation always kicks us around. I mean, it's very hard to find a place to be. For me, after searching long and hard and finding a good place for me to be, I found this spot where I'm at now. I'm on a piece of land that's attached to a city park, and it's kind of a gray area between the city and private property. And it's an area that nobody's been in for years and years. There was some garbage here when I first got here. People used to camp here, but they're long gone. And I haven't had any problems here. I haven't hardly had any visitors, whether it's other homeless people or regular townspeople. So I've been good here for a year, but all of a sudden there was a protest at Newport City Hall. I don't know who organized it. I don't know how it came about, but somebody helped stage a protest where they set up tents right in front on the lawn of City Hall, and they were there for about 3 weeks. And they tried to help some people, especially people that had children or that were, they tried to help them get hotel rooms and get out of their situation, but they only gave people hotel rooms for 2 days. So to try to make a long story short, from what I started getting visitors here after that protest was ending, and the first person that came told me that the police of the city of Newport, the police told them to come here to my spot. It's not mine. I don't own this place. Obviously I'm squatting here. But so since then, that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Since then, I've had multiple visitors. I never turned anybody away, but because the spot that I chose is inconvenient, it's about a 15-minute climb up and down hills to get to where I'm at, and it's off of a city, public park trail, but I'm well off that trail on a side trail. So, from what I've heard from these people is that the city police told them they could come here as long as they camp off 200 feet off of the main trail. So, like I was saying, I never turned anybody away, but nobody ended up staying here until recently. There was a few people that came through. One of them had a car, and there's some parking spots for the park, at the trailhead. But I let them know. I was like, the cops are definitely going to give you a notice to move your car. Like, you won't be able to park your car. Which is kind of, BS. Because I have a feeling that the cops told those people to come here. Because a lot of the people that were involved in the protest in front of City Hall had cars. I was like, why would the police tell people to come here when they know that they can't park their car anywhere legally? It feels like it was a setup for them. So there was one couple in particular. They came and I told them, I was like, oh, it looks like you have a car. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, you're not going to be able to park it here. Like, I don't care, but I know the city's not going to allow it. And I don't know why they told you could come here, but I don't think it's going to work out. So they ended up moving on. But then, I had some other visitors. Some of them were very not kind and just expected. They thought that, like, I was here to take care of them. And I was like, no, that's not, I don't know who's telling you to come here, but I'm not here to, I'm no camp counselor. I'm not taking care of anybody. So everybody that had shown up to this point, or up until about a week ago, has decided to move on. I didn't tell them to move on, but it was too inconvenient for them because they didn't want to climb up and down the hill every day, or they had a car or some other issues, but nobody ended up staying. But as of recently, there's another, like, I don't know if it's a charity. I don't know what to call it exactly. It's like a day center, a place where you can have a mailbox and get a meal and things like that and charge your phone. They've been telling people to come up here recently. So in the past week, I've had about 4 different visitors. And I just helped a woman yesterday. She's an older lady, and she's obviously still using drugs, which is none of my concern. I don't care. Because, like I said, I don't care. Personally, my view is I don't care what anybody does, but everybody should have a place to be no matter what their issues are. Because drug use stems from tragedy. Drug use is a multi-layered issue, and it stems from past tragedy and stems from a whole lot of different things, So nobody should be held, to, like, obviously, it's up to the person to get clean and to fix their lives. But you have to realize also that it's hard to bounce back from that. Once you fall through the cracks, it's very hard to climb back out. I mean, I lived a pretty normal life and was a normal person before my drug issues, and I just fell off. I just fell off, and then I started using drugs, and I could climb my way back out, but I don't really want to do the normal thing anymore because that's just not for me. That's not what God has put on my heart to do with myself. And although I could, it still would be very hard, and I'm just not willing to do it. I don't see the reason personally for, like, I want to try to affect some change. Like, we have to realize that the lifestyles we're living. I mean, that's why I started kind of using drugs in the first place. I realized that the lifestyle we're living in general, as a whole, it's not any one person that's in the wrong here, but we have to realize that we're not living a sustainable lifestyle at all on any level. Whether it's, you're talking about energy, or you're talking about, I mean, whether you're talking about energy or the type of housing that we live in is not, it's not sustainable. Like the wood that we use, and the materials we use, and the energy that we're using, like, we don't need even half of it to live a comfortable, sustainable lifestyle that can, help future generations to live better also. Because the way we're going right now, in my opinion, we're not leaving anything for our future generation. We're leaving them with a debt, and we're leaving them with a mess that we've created. So that's just my personal opinions. But let me get back to to the main points here. So what I plan to do, I need to go find out personally if the city is truly telling people to come here to my spot. And like I said, my spot, it's not mine, it's city property. But I have been here for a solid year, and really longer than that, but officially a solid year. You could even go back to my old videos. You could see that I came here at the end of September last year, and it's now November, early November 1st or 2nd as I record this. And but I've been here longer than that, and I haven't had any visitors. I haven't had any guests. I had some people come through, but they decided not to stay because nobody wants to come up here. But now, from what I'm hearing from people showing up, is that the city is telling people to come here. So probably on Monday. Today is Thursday, and all the offices, like the day center I'm gonna go visit, is closed on Friday. So I'm gonna go there Monday to the day center first. I won't mention their name because it's not really that important, because there's so many of them across the country. But I'll probably try to record the interaction, and I'm gonna ask them who it is exactly that told them to send people here, because I'm the one that was here first. And like I said, I don't lay any claim to this spot. I mean, I lay claim to just this little square that I live in. Like, anything outside of this, like, I consider this private property, even though I'm technically squatting on public land. So I'm not gonna deny anybody who comes here, who gets sent here, especially by the city. But if the city is sending people here, then they have to hold themselves accountable for for the people they're sending here. Because I'm no camp counselor. I'm not gonna take responsibility for these people. And I don't know if they knew I was here already, or if anybody was here, but they're definitely sending people here. So first, I'm going to go to the day center. I'm going to ask them who it is that told them that it's okay to send people here. And then I believe it was the police, because this protest happened first. And from what I was told by the people that showed up primarily, is that the police told them to come here. But now I'm getting people here. Like, there's 5 of us here now. It was originally just 2 of us. And the people that have showed up recently told me that actually there's one extra person that just showed up this morning. So it's looking like it's not going to stop. It's looking like, and to me, all I'm thinking is, well, this is the beginning of the end for my spot, which is fine. If it gets to be a total poop show, I can move on easily. But it's got to stop. It's got to stop somewhere, because the little housing situation at places like Salem and especially in California is where it's happening. Where that video I was talking about that I'll try to pin in the comments, that's happening in California right now, and they're saying that they want to set up these little tiny houses, but if it was a rent to own type of deal where you can you abide by their rules, and maybe you could pay a nominal amount to get off your feet and do a rent to own for a tiny house. If you could pay like just a little fee and like rent to own these little tiny houses, that would be a different story. Because I might do that if I could rent to own something that was actually affordable for me, where I can still explore my outside hobbies and interests, which is music and art, but still hold a full-time job or even just a part-time job. Like, there's no reason why anybody should have to work a full-time job just to pay their rent. Like, and that's the minimum now. If you're making minimum wage, you work full-time, that's not even enough to just pay rent anymore. So like, what do they expect people to do? There's going to be a whole lot more homeless people in coming years if it keeps going the way it's going. So I think I pretty much hit all the points. I may have scattered it a little bit, but expect a video, or maybe I'll just cut it into this video. I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to go try to record my interaction with the day center that I go to, and I'm going to try to find, they have over here in this town, they have community service police officers. So I was going to flag one of the community service police officers down today, but it didn't occur to me until after they passed me. So, but I feel like I should ask the day center first, even though from what I was told, the police are the people telling the homeless to come to this specific area. So I want to try to get to the bottom of it, and I want to record it just so that if this starts turning into a large amount of people coming here, I'm fine with it, and I'll deal with it, and I'll stay here. I'll write it out to its logical conclusion. But I also don't want to become the scapegoat. Like, it's my nature to try to help people however I can, but I've realized in my experience that you have to draw very hard lines on that. Because if you show people that you're willing to do anything for them, then they'll take advantage of that, especially out here. It's hard to say but it's the truth that a lot of the homeless community are just kind of gimme. And if you show them that you're going to do whatever for them, then they're just going to keep expecting more. And that's not bad mouthing anybody who's homeless or anybody in this situation, but because if that happens where you get taken advantage of, or at least for me personally, if I feel like someone's starting to take advantage of me and my generosity, then instead of blaming that person, I blame myself now. It's like, well, I had to draw those hard lines at first and I didn't, and that's my fault. So, it's all about accountability. So I don't want to fall into that position where I'm, going to be Mr. Camp Counselor out here. But I'm also not going to turn anybody away, because I know that I'm self-sufficient. And if it gets too crazy, I could just leave at any time and start a new camp anywhere. But maybe it's an opportunity for me to draw light on what's happening out here, because there's a whole lot of organizations, and they're not all religious. Some are religious, some aren't. And I'm a religious person. I wouldn't call it religious, and I wouldn't call it spiritual either. But I believe the Bible, and I believe in God. So I don't care if anybody thinks less of me for it, because that's happened. But that doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with all these churches. I believe churches are businesses, and they've shown me nothing other than that they're businesses. And my whole experience in Salem with the church there that was helping homeless people, it's sad to say, but everything that I thought was going to happen has happened there. And they've basically, at this point, they've closed their doors. One of the people that have shown up is actually people that I knew from Salem that, they got fed up with what's going on there, and all the resources are cut off. And they have resources, but you have to follow a lot of rules. And if you're actively using drugs, then it's just not possible. Even if you're not using drugs, it's hard to follow their rules to stay in one of those houses. And not only that, it's basically a detention center. I mean, you, you have to stay there overnight. You're not really allowed to do what you want as a free human being. And, the knee jerk response would be like, well, you got yourself in that situation. So if that's what you have to do to get out, then that's what you have to do. And I kind of agree with that, but we should have a choice. Personally, everybody as an individual should have a choice. There should be an option for people to live an alternative way without it being illegal, without you feeling like you're a criminal just because you want to live differently. And I just don't want to live that way personally. I don't want to live in an apartment anymore. I'm not trying to use my labor to get anybody rich anymore. I've done it my whole life. And I've done physical labor, and I've done a whole lot of different jobs, trust me. And I have no aversion to work whatsoever. It's not about, oh, he doesn't want to work. That's not what I mean. Most of us out here work hard. And I mean, you think your job is hard? Try living out here. It's a full-time job just living out here, especially if you're somebody who likes to try to stay clean, who likes to keep their area clean, who likes to have the basic essentials and a nice tidy space to live in. That turns into a full-time job in itself. So, I'll start recording again when I'm gonna confront. I'm not out for a fight. I just want to find out if the city is truly telling people to come here or not. And if so, I want it on video so that it's, there's a record that the city is telling people to come here. Because if they're telling people to come here, then that's their fault, like they told them to come here, and they know they have nowhere else to go. So they better not try to kick us out after that point. And they should, if it gets to the point where there's, more than 10, 20 people here, then they should really start providing some services to us, especially things like porta potties, garbage removal. Like, they can't expect us to keep these woods clean without any help, because they're telling people to come here. I've been able to keep my area clean, but that's because I'm a hiker and a backpacker, and I keep very strict pack in, pack out rules for myself. But trust me, nobody else does out here. Nobody who's homeless. I mean, even when everybody says, oh, I'm clean, I keep my campsite clean. Nobody does. And most people who own houses don't keep their houses clean. Most people's houses are disgusting. I mean, I've been in a lot of houses, not just recently, but I mean, like, they got dog poop on the floor, they got dishes piled up, their toilets got poop all over around the rim, and they never clean it. And that's no way to live, in my opinion, either. I mean, I feel like my space here is cleaner, even though I have a dirt floor shelter. This is a cleaner space than most people's houses. So I'm just trying. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to shed light. Maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm going to take it day by day, and I'm going to try to document what happens from now on here. Because as much as I love doing my cover videos, playing my guitar, there's got to be more reason to why I found myself where I am right now. So stay tuned. I don't know. I might cut in the same video, or I might publish this video and then do another video where, I ask the day center and the police, because I'm definitely going to record those, especially the police, when I ask them about if they're telling people to come here or not, because that's what people are telling me. So I believe that's everything I need to say. I'm going to try to edit this and make it as concise as possible. I'm sorry if I was rambling a little bit, but there's a lot of thoughts, and I'm sure there's more that I'll think of later, but I'll try not to even bother, because it's such a multifaceted issue, and something has to be done. Like, there has to be an alternative, because what the solutions being offered right now by the mainstream, churches and, all these little shelters and things, they're not really solutions. And I've found personally, and this is just an opinion, they're not really there to help people. They're only there to prove that they're trying to help people and get your name on a piece of paper so that they could submit that to whoever it is that's accruing all these funds that are coming from God knows where. It's either tax dollars or it's private. I don't know where the money comes from, but I've seen so much money wasted, and it goes towards things like central air conditioning for the people, the employees of these places, and not actual, you know, not anything actually for the homeless addict that's out there struggling. And like I said, I know that getting over your addiction and becoming clean would be the first step towards making someone's life better. But there's more to it than that, especially nowadays. I mean, most people are starting to see what is happening with the economy and the way our money system works. And it's just not sustainable. That's the best way to put it. We're not living a sustainable life. And it doesn't matter whether you live in a regular McMansion in suburbia, or you're out here, you're out in the streets as an addict, or you're trying to be a hermit in the woods. the issue is the same. We collectively, and it's not me, it is me and it is you, and it's everybody collectively. Like, we all try to do things to make to impact some change and to live sustainable, but we're really not doing the right. We're doing the prescribed things, the things that that these marketing companies are telling us that is what we should be doing. Like, buying an electric car and getting solar panels on your house is not the solution to living a sustainable lifestyle as a humanity, not even just as a country. I mean, I feel that in order to live sustainably, we have to ditch the old way of thinking that, the only way to live is in, a sheetrock box and to pay rent, or if not to pay a mortgage holder, to pay a bank, so that you can have this hundreds of thousands of dollars house that doesn't even cost that much to really to they only cost, like, housing only costs so much because it's been sold and resold over and over again for a profit, because that's what we're told we should do. Like, get a house, invest in a house, and you can sell it for more money in 10-20 years, and that'll be part of your portfolio, part of your retirement. And that's just not the solution. Like, we should be living with the earth, with nature, with, it doesn't take much. Like, even when you're raising children, like, we only follow what the state and what the system tells us we need to follow as far as raising our children and all that. And sure, we need proper hygiene, but you start to realize how easy it is to take care of those basic necessities when you lose it all. And that's where I feel I've come through, is you lose it all, and then you realize, oh well, it's not really that hard to meet the basic needs, until you realize that all this bureaucracy and red tape makes it harder than it has to be. Like, why can't land be sectioned off for people who want to live differently on a piece of land? And obviously certain rules have to be followed, as far as not trashing the environment and not living sustainably. But I mean, even here's a point. I don't know if I've made it on this channel or not, and now I'm rambling, but I think it's an important point. Even the worst, most disgusting camp you've ever seen, with homeless people, with garbage everywhere, that isn't even a micron of the impact on the environment that your house, and yes, I'm pointing at you, whoever you are, doesn't even come close to the impact on the environment that your house has, with its central heating and air conditioning and the car that you drive. So the next time you or me or anybody, the next time you want to say, or you come across a homeless camp and you turn in disgust at the sight of it, just remember that even though it is disgusting and it looks gross and there's garbage everywhere, there's still less impact in that camp than that you're creating. And I don't want to point fingers at people. That's not what this is about. because it's me too. Like it was me, I guess, and it's still, because we all have to. We have no choice but to play into the system that is here. But don't even go there with the homeless camps are creating an environmental hazard. BS. Like we're all creating the environmental hazard. And even though it looks gross, these camps that you see that have garbage and whatever strewn about, it's still less of an impact on the environment than your house, than your car, than your lifestyle. So try to think about that, my peoples. And I love you all. Stay safe. And I'll be updating you whether it's attached to this video or in the next video. And stay free.